The suitcase hit the marble floor before she realized she had thrown it. Before we continue the story, please like and subscribe. Say that again, Dad. Dammy's voice trembled, but she didn't look away from him. Chief Adetola's jaw tightened. If you walk out of this house for that mechanic, you are no longer my daughter. The words hung in the air. She swallowed. I'm not walking out for a mechanic. I'm walking out for the man I love. He laughed bitterly. Love. Love does not pay bills. Love does not protect your future. She bent down slowly and picked up the suitcase. Maybe. But love gives peace. The security guards at the door shifted uncomfortably. The chandelier above them glittered as if mocking the moment. You will regret this, her father said quietly now. When hunger comes, when reality hits you, don't come back here. She paused at the door. Her hand rested on the handle. I would rather struggle with someone who respects me than live comfortably where I feel like an investment. And she walked out. If you've ever had to choose between what is easy and what feels right, stay with this story. And if you believe love should never be measured by money, you might want to like this video already. Outside the gates of the mansion, the night air felt different. Heavy. Real. Tom stood beside his old Toyota, nervous. When he saw her with the suitcase, his heart dropped. Dammy, what happened? They gave me a choice, she said softly. And I chose. He looked at the suitcase again. You didn't have to do this. I know. They stood in silence for a moment. He rubbed his palms together. My place is small. She smiled faintly. So is my pride. He exhaled slowly. Are you sure? She stepped closer. Turned, if I wasn't sure, I wouldn't be here. He opened the car door for her. As they drove away from the glowing mansion lights, she didn't look back. Earlier that same day, things had been different. She had been seated at the long dining table, listening to her father discuss merger deals and property investments. Mr. Baligan's son just returned from London, her father said, sipping his tea. He is disciplined. Educated. Comes from good stock. I'm not cattle, Dad, she replied quietly. He ignored that. A marriage between both families will secure generational wealth. What about happiness? Happiness comes after security. She stared at him. Or maybe security comes from happiness. He shook his head. You're young. You don't understand yet. But she understood more than he realized. She understood the emptiness of luxury dinners where nobody laughed genuinely. She understood the loneliness of being admired for status instead of personality. And she understood the difference the day her car broke down. Rain had poured heavily that evening. Her driver had been off. The engine died in the middle of a quiet road. She stepped out, frustrated, holding her heels in one hand. Problem, a voice had asked. She turned and saw him wiping his hands with a rag, walking from a small roadside workshop. Yes, she replied cautiously. He lifted the hood and examined the engine. Battery issue. Nothing serious. How much? He shrugged. Let me fix it first. She watched him walk in the rain without complaining. No flattery. No unnecessary talk. When he finished, she handed him more money than required. He counted it and handed some back. You overpaid. You fixed it in the rain. That's my job. She studied him carefully. Most people would have kept it. He smiled slightly. Most people are not me. That was the first time someone spoke to her without knowing who she was. The next day she returned, claiming the car was making a strange sound. It's not, he said after checking. I just wanted to say thank you properly. He leaned back against the car. You could have just said it. She laughed. From there, conversation started. What's it like? He asked once. What? Living in that big house on the hill? She hesitated. Comfortable. Quiet. Predictable. Sounds boring. It is. He told her about his mother's small food store before she passed away. I promised her I would take care of my siblings, he said. Do you regret not going to university? Sometimes. But responsibility came first. She looked at him differently that day. One evening, sitting on plastic chairs outside his workshop, she said, "Do you ever wish you were rich?" He thought for a moment. I wish I had enough. Not everything. What's enough? Food. Peace. People who don't leave. She looked away quickly. Back in the present, the car stopped in front of a modest apartment building. He turned off the engine. This is it. She nodded slowly. Inside, the living room was small but clean. Two younger children rushed out. Brother. They stopped when they saw her. This is Dammy, he said gently. She knelt slightly. Hi. The little girl smiled shyly. Are you rich? Turned coughed awkwardly. Ada. Dammy laughed softly. Not anymore. Later that night, after the children slept, they sat on the couch. Your father will never forgive me, he said quietly. He doesn't need to forgive you. He hates that I can't give you what he can. She turned toward him. You give me something he never did. What? A choice. He looked at her carefully. Are you scared? He asked. Yes. Me too. She reached for his hand. Then we'll be scared together. He squeezed her fingers gently. Across town, Chief Adetola stood by his balcony staring into the dark. His assistant approached cautiously. Sir, should I freeze all her accounts? He didn't respond immediately. Do it, he said finally. Back in the small apartment, Dammy's phone buzzed repeatedly. She checked her banking app. Zero balance. She inhaled slowly. It's done, she said. Ton looked at her. We'll figure it out. She nodded. That night, lying on a thin mattress beside him, she whispered, promise me something. What? If one day this becomes too much, we will talk. Not break. Not blame. Just talk. He turned to face her in the dark. I promise. And for the first time in her life, surrounded by less comfort than she had ever known, she slept peacefully. Morning came with noise instead of silence. A rooster crowed somewhere down the street. A neighbor argued loudly over the price of bread. A generator coughed to life. Dammy opened her eyes slowly. For a brief second, she expected silk sheets and the faint scent of lavender from the mansion. Instead, she saw a cracked ceiling and heard Ada giggling in the next room. She smiled. Ton was already up, tying his shoelaces. You don't have to wake up early, he said softly. I want to, she replied, sitting up. What time do you open? 7. She stood. Then I'll make breakfast. He raised an eyebrow. You know how to cook? She folded her arms. I can learn. He laughed quietly. All right, Madam Determination. In the tiny kitchen, she stared at the stove like it was a puzzle. Ton leaned against the doorway. Oil first. I know that. Okay. A few minutes later, smoke filled the kitchen. Ada rushed in, coughing dramatically. Are we under attack? They all burst into laughter. Dammy waved the towel helplessly. It's just a little burnt. Ton stepped forward and gently moved her aside. Teamwork, he said. She watched him crack eggs with ease. Teach me properly, she insisted. I will. After breakfast, as he prepared to leave for the workshop, she stopped him. Wait. He turned. She adjusted his collar carefully. Now you look like a serious businessman. He smiled. Businessman. Future one. He shook his head playfully. Let's survive today first. When he left, she looked around the small apartment. It wasn't luxury. But it felt alive. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated before answering. Dammy. Her father's voice. She froze. Dad. I hope you are comfortable, he said coldly. She swallowed. I'm fine. I assume you've noticed your cards no longer work. Yes. You have until the end of this week. Come home. Apologize. End this nonsense. She closed her eyes briefly. It's not nonsense. Silence. That boy cannot protect you. He doesn't need to protect me. We protect each other. You sound foolish. Maybe, she whispered. But I'm not unhappy. His breathing grew heavier. Happiness without stability is temporary. And stability without happiness feels like prison. There was a long pause. You will learn, he said finally, and hung up. She lowered the phone slowly. That afternoon, she walked to the workshop carrying food for Ton. The mechanics stared when they saw her. Boss, your madam don't come, one teased. Ton wiped his hands quickly. Ignore them. She handed him the food container. For you. He looked surprised. You didn't have to. I wanted to. They sat on overturned buckets. I spoke to my father, she said quietly. His expression changed. What did he say? That I regret this. He looked down at his hands. Maybe you will. She reached out and lifted his chin gently. Do you regret us? No. Then stop borrowing fear from the future. He stared at her for a moment before smiling softly. Where did you learn to talk like that? From a mechanic who once said peace is better than money. He laughed. Days turned into weeks. The adjustment wasn't easy. One evening, rain poured heavily and the roof leaked slightly. She placed a bucket under the drip. Ton noticed her staring at it. I'm sorry, he said quietly. For what? For bringing you into this. She walked toward him. You didn't drag me here. But you deserve better. She held his face gently. Don't reduce yourself like that. He looked away. I just don't want you to feel trapped. She smiled faintly. I left a mansion. If I felt trapped, I would have stayed. He exhaled slowly. Later that night, as they lay down, she whispered, Do you ever feel small when you think about him? Ton didn't pretend to misunderstand. Yes. She turned toward him. You're not competing with him. It feels like I am. You're not, she insisted. He measures life in assets. You measure it in effort. He was quiet for a moment. I want to grow, he said eventually. You will. I don't want you to sacrifice everything for me. She smiled gently. I didn't sacrifice everything. I sacrificed excess. He chuckled softly. A few days later, she suggested something. What if you start mobile services? He frowned slightly. Mobile? Yes. People call. You go to them. Charge a little more for convenience. He considered it. I'd need better tools. How much? He mentioned the amount carefully. She nodded. Okay. He blinked. Okay. I still have some jewelry. His expression changed immediately. No. It's mine. I won't let you sell your things. She folded her arms. Turned. I won't build my growth on your loss. It's not loss. It's investment. He shook his head firmly. Not like that. She studied him quietly. You're stubborn. You too. They both laughed softly. The next morning, he surprised her. I spoke to a friend, he said. He's willing to lend me some tools. I'll pay him back gradually. Her eyes lit up. Really? Yes. She hugged him tightly. See? Solutions. As days passed, the mobile idea slowly started working. Calls began coming in. Small ones at first. Flat tires. Engine checks. One evening, he returned home exhausted but smiling. I made triple what I usually make in a day. She clapped excitedly. You see. He looked at her carefully. I couldn't have thought of it without you. She shook her head. You would have. He stepped closer. Thank you. Across town, Chief Adetola sat in his office staring at a photo of his daughter on his desk. His business partner spoke from across the table. She will come back. He didn't answer immediately. Sir, the man pressed. Chief Adetola finally sighed. She sounded calm. Calm. Yes. Not desperate. That unsettled him more than rebellion would have. Back in the apartment, that night, Dammy sat quietly. What are you thinking? Ton asked. She hesitated. Do you think love is enough? He looked at her seriously. Love is not everything. But without it, everything feels empty. She nodded slowly. If one day we become wealthy, he added gently, I don't want it to change us. She smiled. Then we'll remind each other. He extended his pinky finger playfully. Deal. She hooked hers with his. Deal. Outside, the rain had stopped. Inside, something steadier than wealth was growing. If this story is touching you so far, take a moment to like this video. It helps more people hear it. And stay till the end, because choices always come with consequences. 3 months later, the apartment felt different. Not bigger. Not newer. Just steadier. Ton's phone rang more often now. His name had started circulating in neighborhoods as the mechanic that comes to you. One afternoon, he walked in holding an envelope. What's that? Dammy asked. He dropped onto the couch beside her. Payment from a company fleet contract. Her eyes widened. A company. Small logistics firm. They want regular maintenance. She covered her mouth in excitement. That's consistent income. He nodded slowly. It's not huge. But it's stable. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I'm proud of you. He looked down at her. You believed before it made sense. I still do. That evening, as they ate dinner, Ada suddenly asked, will we ever live in a big house like the one she came from? The room went quiet for a second. Dammy smiled gently at the little girl. Maybe. Maybe not. Ada tilted her head. Don't you miss it? Dammy thought for a moment. I miss some things. But I don't miss how I felt there. Ton watched her carefully. How did you feel? Ada asked innocently. Like I was part of a plan. Not part of a family. The child nodded as if she understood more than her age allowed. That night, her phone rang again. Her father. She stared at the screen before answering. Yes, Dad. I heard he is doing mobile repairs now. She blinked. You've been checking. I ask questions, he replied stiffly. She smiled slightly. He's working hard. There was silence on the line. Are you comfortable? He asked, and this time his voice sounded different. She softened. I'm learning. Learning what? That happiness is simple. He exhaled slowly. And hardship. It's real. But it's honest. He didn't respond immediately. You have lost weight, he said suddenly. She laughed softly. You saw me. I drove past. Her heart paused. Why didn't you stop? I wasn't sure you would want me to. Her voice grew quiet. You're still my father. Another silence. I built everything for you, he said. I know. I thought money would protect you. It protected me from discomfort, she replied gently. Not from loneliness. He inhaled deeply. Does he make you lonely? No. That answer lingered between them. A week later, Ton received another call, this time from a mid-sized car dealership needing part-time servicing support. He sat at the small dining table staring at the numbers. This could change things, he whispered. Dammy sat opposite him. In what way? It means I can hire one more mechanic. She smiled. Growth. He nodded slowly. It scares me. Why? What if I fail? She reached across the table and held his hands. Then we adjust. He studied her face carefully. You don't panic easily. She chuckled softly. I left the mansion with one suitcase. Everything else feels manageable. They both laughed. Days later, something unexpected happened. There was a knock at the door. Ton opened it. Chief Adetola stood outside. The air shifted. Dammy froze behind him. Her father looked around the modest space, taking everything in quietly. Good evening, Ton said respectfully. The older man nodded once. May I come in? They stepped aside. He sat down slowly. Ada peeked from the hallway curiously. You must be the famous mechanic, Chief Adetola said calmly. Ton swallowed. I'm just doing my best, sir. The older man looked at his daughter. You look different. She smiled faintly. Different how? Lighter. No one spoke for a few seconds. Finally, Chief Adetola cleared his throat. I was wrong about one thing. Dammy blinked. Only one. A faint smile touched his lips despite himself. I thought you would come back within weeks. She walked closer. Did you want me to fail? He looked down. I wanted you safe. I am safe. He studied Ton carefully. Can you truly take care of her? Ton answered without hesitation. I may not give her everything immediately. But I will never treat her like a transaction. The words settled deeply. Chief Adetola leaned back. I built my life believing wealth was the highest form of security, he said slowly. But security without joy is empty. Dammy's eyes glistened. I won't pretend I understand your choice fully, he continued. But I see you are not miserable. She stepped closer. I'm not. He nodded once. I will not cut you off anymore. Her breath caught. Dad. I won't fund your life, he clarified gently. But I won't punish you either. She moved forward and hugged him. He hesitated only for a second before hugging her back. Ton looked away respectfully. When they separated, Chief Adetola turned to him. Build well. I will, sir. After he left, the apartment felt quiet again. Dammy turned to Ton slowly. You okay? He asked. She nodded. Yes. Are you relieved? She thought carefully. I'm grateful. He wrapped his arms around her. Do you regret anything? He whispered. She shook her head firmly. No. Months later, the workshop expanded into a slightly larger rented space. Nothing extravagant. Just progress. One evening, as they closed for the day, Ton handed her a small box. What's this? She asked. Open it. Inside was a simple ring. Her eyes widened. Ton. I don't have a mansion, he said quietly. But I have intention. Tears gathered in her eyes. Will you continue choosing this life with me? She laughed through tears. I never stopped. She slipped the ring on her finger. They stood outside the workshop, hands intertwined. Not rich. Not poor. Just aligned. Love over wealth. If this story reminded you that peace matters more than pressure, take a second to like this video. Comment below what you would choose, love or wealth. And if you enjoy emotional stories like this, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Because sometimes the greatest investment is not in money, but in the courage to choose who you become. And she never looked back.